One of the greatest feelings you can have as a football fan is seeing amazing plays and hard-fought games unfold before your eyes. The sensation of watching some of the greatest athletes battle for 60 minutes on the gridiron is something that cannot be matched, and this can further be said of overtime games. Having watched the 2019 AFC Championship game live, it was one of those moments you just live for as a sports fan. The first of many showdowns to come between Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, and a playoff game for a trip to the Super Bowl, no less. The game lived up to the hype, with some explosive offense and big play after big play. Everything seemed set for a great finish until we get to one of the biggest flaws in the modern game of football: overtime. As the overtime period began, the Patriots won the toss, received the ball, and proceeded to march down the field and win the game. This represented one big problem, however, as after battling for 60 minutes, the current Most Valuable Player award winner, Patrick Mahomes, was relegated to sitting on the sideline, never getting to see the field in arguably the most crucial moment of the game. In this speech, I'm going to convince you of the benefits of changing the NFL overtime rules to a college football-style shootout. I will do this by explaining three topics: the history of the league and its overtime rules, the current form of overtime and its flaws, and the reason that the shootout rule would work and make professional football better. The NFL was created during a meeting in Canton, Ohio in 1920. There, the league began with 10 confirmed members and almost immediately expanded to 14. The NFL would officially adopt their namesake in 1922 after spending 2 years as the American Professional Football Association. Of the 14 original franchises, only 2 of them remain. These are the Arizona Cardinals and the Chicago Bears. The league's first champions were the Akron Pros, who won with a regular season record of 8 wins, 0 losses, and 3 ties. The first recognized instance of overtime was during the 1958 NFL Championship game between the Baltimore Colts and the New York Giants. However, a prior occurrence of overtime was seen during a 1955 preseason game as a way to sell more tickets. This game occurred between the New York Giants and the Los Angeles Rams. The first regular season overtime game would occur much later and takes place in 1974. The game, which was between the Pittsburgh Steelers and Denver Broncos, resulted in a 35-35 tie. This is one of 515 overtime games played from 1974 to 2013. The longest overtime game on record was a 1971 postseason showdown between the Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs that lasted 22 minutes and 40 seconds beyond regulation. The current rules of overtime are as follows. Following the end of regulation, the head referee will toss a coin that the visiting captain calls. The winner of the toss can elect to receive the ball or kick to the opposing team. The overtime period lasts for no more than 10 minutes and will conclude as a tie if the clock expires and the score remains locked. The only exception is in the postseason, where a winner must be determined. Each team will get a possession unless the team who possesses the ball first does not score a touchdown. Each team gets 2 timeouts. This system has some major flaws, however. The fact that the game ends after a touchdown from the team who gets the ball first places too much emphasis on the coin toss. The fact that such high-stakes tilts are left up to fate is inexcusable, as shown by the 2019 AFC Championship game. Allowing games that had been hard-fought and neck up to chance seems a bit too far out of left field. It ruined some of the biggest and greatest moments in the sport. Rule changes have been proposed as recently as 2021 and show a clear desire by some in the league to adjust and modify what has been deemed a flawed system. This proposal was a joint effort by the Baltimore Ravens and Philadelphia Eagles, who sought to give both teams a chance to benefit from the coin toss. Their proposal allowed for the team who won the toss to decide on the spot of the ball, and the team who lost the coin toss to decide if they would receive or defer possession. This would, at the very least, have represented a much more fair way for the overtime possession to be determined and placed more strategy into the way overtime games are played. The most commonly stated change brought up amongst the sports community seems to be a switching to the college football overtime system. The current rules for the college overtime are as follows. The coin toss works the same as the NFL. Both teams get a guaranteed possession, and both teams start at the opponent's 25-yard line. Each team gets 1 timeout per overtime. If a team scores and the other does not, the game ends. If both teams score, then the game proceeds, alternating possessions between teams until one team scores in a period and the other doesn't, or one team scores more in that period than the other team. After 2 overtime periods, both teams must go for 2 after each successive touchdown. This system allows both teams to have a shot to win the game. By removing the emphasis placed on the coin toss, both teams get a possession, and in turn would be able to let their best players take the field no matter what. This would also reduce the controversy and debate surrounding overtime rules in the NFL. The day after the 2019 AFC Championship, almost every major sports news outlet were having discussions over the rules and whether or not Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs should have been given a chance at rebuttal. This is a hot topic in the sports world to this day, and while the college system might not be perfect, it is definitely more balanced than the current NFL structure. By changing the rules of overtime, the NFL would stick to its commitment to create the best product for fans and continue to show that it is committed to improving and maintaining parity within the league. Had the NFL done so sooner, we might have gotten to see the 2019 AFC Championship game become something for the ages.